guys, welcome back. So in today's video I thought we would talk about history behind Eduardo Guachala. He went into a psychiatric hospital and never came out. So let's get right into it. Now Lewis was 23 years old and his mother Zolia admitted him into Julio Endara Hospital. Now this is a psychiatric institution in Quinto and he was admitted there on January the 10th after experiencing epileptic episodes. His mother Zolia was quite worried about him because he seemed quite out of it, so she thought the best thing to do was to take him into hospital. When Zolia took Lewis into the hospital, the nurses immediately put him on a bed and sedated him and took him away. The doctor then told Zolia that he was going to be sleeping the entire weekend, so it would be best to come back and see him on Monday. Zolia then gave her son Lewis a kiss on the cheek and told him that she was going to see him later. Zolia then returned on Monday to come and visit her son Lewis. But when she got there, she noticed that Lewis wasn't in his room. She asked the nurses where he was and she was like, "Where's my son? Where's Lewis? I've come to see him. The doctor told me to come back today to come and see him." And one of the nurses responded back to, "He's probably in the barber shop or he's probably in group therapy with some other patients." But then another nurse decided to start talking, told Zolia that they don't actually know where the patients are because they weren't directly responsible for their whereabouts. The nurse then said that this was the job of the auxiliary nurse. She looked everywhere around the hospital, but she just could not find Lewis. A doctor then told her not to worry and seeing him would disturb him, but they reassured her that he's absolutely fine and that they would keep in contact with her about him, and if anything needs to be said, they'll contact her and let her know. Zolia then returned back to the hospital on Sunday as she hadn't heard anything and she wanted to see her son. She wanted to see if he was okay. But then a nurse had said, "Oh, he escaped yesterday and we don't know where he's gone and we couldn't find him." At this point, Zolia was just like, "Where's my son? I want to see my son." Like, she was reassured on the Monday that they would keep in contact with her about Lewis. Yeah, he's apparently escaped yesterday and gone missing, but she wasn't contacted, so she had no idea what was going on. He was absolutely nowhere to be found, and the hospital records did back up that he had just gone missing and he'd escaped. And that's what was stated on the entry of the day it supposedly happened. The entry said the patient had abandoned the hospital. A search was done, but he wasn't found on the premises. But then when she went to his room, there was another patient in there. So it seemed like they weren't actively still looking for him and they just put another patient in his room. So things just weren't adding up at this point. This really upset Zolia. She just wanted to know where her son was. So she stepped outside the hospital and she just sat there and cried and cried. A security guard of the hospital then approached her and asked her, "Why are you crying?" And she then explained the situation, that she admitted her son here the week prior, but she hasn't seen him since, and that the hospital recalls him being a runaway. But then the security guards replied back saying himself and the other security guard don't recall anybody escaping the hospital because their security, they would have been alarmed of this and they would have been part of the search party looking for him. But he said nothing of the sort happened. Since she heard this, Zolia and her daughter, Lewis's sister, searched all the nearby places by the hospital to see if they could find Lewis. The staff had claimed that they had called the police as well, but it just didn't seem like anybody was doing anything about the situation. She doesn't even think that the police were notified that there was somebody that had escaped from a hospital. On the 20th of January, Zolia went to the police herself and made a statement, but that's all the police did. All they did was take the statement from her and reply back to her with, "It's not the first time somebody's gone missing from this hospital." And it's just shocking at the lack of care that they've taken into the situation. Like, a mother has lost her son and doesn't know where he is after admitting him in a place of care. Also, a patient at the hospital told Zolia that Lewis had a heart attack and died there while they were in a mass. The police said that they would confirm this for her with the hospital staff, but it was never followed up and it was never confirmed. After getting no closer to the truth, Zolia called the hospital to then ask further questions as to what had happened to her son. And the hospital turned around to her and said, just stop asking and stop making a fuss about it. Just be happy that your son's missing. Like, who would say that to a mother who's placed her son in the care of these people, for them to then turn around and say, just be happy he's missing? Something dodgy definitely happened. In February, the police started to take statements from the doctors and the nurses and all the hospital staff as to what they recall happened the day that he went missing. One of the nurses told the police that they were cutting down trees that day and that the fence was slightly faulty. So it's very possible that Lewis just escaped and walked away. No effort was made by the police. At this point, Zolia put up a petition in the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. And this was in 2007. Her son went missing in 2004. In 2010, they then took the case on. And then in 2014, the police started to take on the case, and this was like 10 years after it actually happened. They started to compare DNA with unidentified bodies to see if one of these bodies turned out to be Lewis, because it was so many years after. This was just proven to be quite difficult. Between the years of 2015 and 2017, they started to do more groundwork into Lewis's disappearance, but it had been like 12-13 years later. So any evidence that they would have would just be non-existent. But if the police have taken this seriously back in 2004 when it actually happened, they could have gotten to the bottom of what actually happened to Lewis. Finally, after 16 years, so this was happening this year now, the case went to ICHR court. Zolia is trying to sue the Ecuadorian government. And according to the judge, the sentencing will take place next year in 2021. Zolia is 69 years old to this date, and she has never given up on looking for her son. And she said she'll never be in peace until she finds out where or what happened to Lewis. It was also said that she would sell flowers on the streets to help pay for police fees. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but even if she did, that's so sweet. She spent the last 16 years of her life trying to find out where her son is and what happened to him, when all she did was place him in the care of doctors and nurses to help him with his seizures, and then he just vanished. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please like and share this, and if you like videos like this, then please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.